Hello everyone and welcome back to another great super cool radio interview. I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before I start talking about my guests, just a quick reminder to thumbs up this video and make sure to subscribe and turn that notification bell. That way you don't miss any super cool radio interviews or episodes. My guest will be Kyle Pfeiffer of Blacklite District. This year, Blacklite District released 2 new singles, including Cold as Ice XL and The Struggle XL. Plus, they'll be leaving on their XL tour starting on April 13th. In this interview, we discuss the name Blacklite District, WrestleMania, the upcoming XL tour, plus releasing the 2 new singles, and so much more. It was a really great conversation. I had a great time chatting with Kyle, so please check out and support Blacklite District and make sure to see them live when you can. But right now, let's dive into this interview. Let's go. Before we jump into the show, I want to tell you about our merch store on Threadless. Shop a wide variety of logos with multiple colors and sizes available for each design. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us continue to make killer content like this episode. Please visit supercoolradio.threadless.com or the link in the description to shop now. I got a really great guest joining me at this time. Blacklite District released 2 new singles this year and are about to tour on their XL tour starting on April 13th. Please welcome from Blacklite District, Kyle Pfeiffer.
What's happening? Thank you for having me, Matthew. Good to be here, man.
It's very nice to have you on. Thank you so much for joining me, and I definitely been looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, no, same here, bro. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm in the Black Hills of South Dakota right now. You know, if you've heard of like the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, I'm like 10 minutes from Sturgis. And yeah, today we're under a blizzard warning, expecting 1 to 2 feet between now and Wednesday. So always something going on, you know. But yeah, I'm here. It's cold, and this is what's happening, you know.
Well, I've for us here, I'm from Indiana, so we had tornado warnings over the weekend, and so we didn't have snow, but it looks like the snow is where you are right now.
Yeah, you know, that's crazy, man. I'm actually originally from Indiana. I grew up in a small town called Griffith, like 5-10 miles outside of Gary, kind of northwest Indiana, up on the Chicago suburbs. So that's cool, man. Where are you at down there?
I'm based out of South Bend.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I'll be playing South Bend on this tour as well. So cool, man.
Yeah, man, I didn't know you're originally from that close. That's only like probably about an hour from me.
Yeah, no, and that's 5-6 years, I guess longer than that now. But when I first started touring, I went through South Bend a time or two, and I guess I just didn't realize how close a lot of those places are to where I was from, So it's always cool to get to go back through there, especially just being from there as a kid, kind of growing up in that, I don't know, suburban Chicago kind of area, but kind of had the small town vibe, man. I miss it, but that's just cool, man. Good shit,
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I'm familiar with the area. I've obviously driven through there. Obviously to go to different shows. I know Gary has their Hard Rock Casino now. I've obviously gone to shows there as well. But it's interesting, that kind of area, and what they're at least trying to do with it, at least now.
For sure. And when I growing up, my whole family basically lived there at the time, and then everyone has kind of moved since then, but I still have a cousin. He's more towards down Indianapolis and stuff. But yeah, there's just, anytime I hear Indiana, it always kind of, I don't know, it's got like a special place in my heart. You know what I'm saying? So that's really cool, man.
Oh, definitely. For sure. Making connections here on Super Cool Radio. So before we dive in, obviously you got the 2 new singles out. You have the upcoming tour, as I mentioned. So before we get to all of that, how'd the name Blacklite District come about?
Well, it's kind of simple. There's not really like some big meaning or something behind it. Really, what it is, man, is I was like 16 years old with a bunch of my band members slash friends at the time in my basement, and we were just trying to come up with any cool band name. Occasionally, you'd get a serious one from someone, but a lot of jokes and goofy shit. And I kept thinking of like the Red Light District, which, over in Amsterdam, and at the time, that was like one of the only like, you always heard about like the weed and like the bra, and it was just like this kind of far away place, or whatever. And then my friend was like, well, dude, like we're like metal and we love Black Sabbath, so why not Blacklite District? And I was like, dude, that's it. That has to be it. Spell it Lite, Blacklight, all one word. That was really as simple as that. And like, shit, bro, like coming up on 20 years later, here we are, you know what I'm saying? So it all worked out, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep.
No, yeah, I really enjoy the name. It's really cool. And I did think of that like Red Light District when when I first saw the name, I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool spin on it. I like that.
Yeah, and like there was times maybe a couple years ago where I've had a few times over the years where I maybe wished I would have did a different name, or there was a while where, I'm kind of a solo artist in the sense that, I do all the interviews, I write all the music. I've had, different lineups in my live band over the years. So for a while on YouTube, a lot of my fans just call me Blacklite, as if that's my name. So I've had times where I wished maybe I would have done a different name, but there's also the sense of, I've been building this for so many years now. Even from the highs and lows throughout the years, people just know it if they're in kind of my world and know what's going on. So it's kind of taken on a life of its own. So I'm happy with it, for sure.
Oh, definitely. And again, you said you've been doing this for 20 years, which is a very long time. But as you said, people are used to the name, and it's got that uniqueness to it. So I can kind of see maybe changing it up over the years, but at the same time, it's already what you've already worked so hard to establish.
Definitely. And at this point, like, if tomorrow I woke up and decided, okay, I want to do a new name, basically you're starting over from scratch, because in today's world, the name recognition, for as much as I have or don't have, or whatever the case is, it is what it is. So, and again, if everything works out and the stars stay aligned and I can, be fortunate enough to do this for the next 10 or 20 years or something like that, it'd be cool to think that Blacklite District kind of, took on a life of its own, made a name for itself. And even if it ends up as just a tiny footnote in the history books of music somewhere, I'll be happy with that, man, And again, because of like, I'm sure we'll get into this, but I do a lot of these Minecraft videos and this big fan base out there. There's just a connection with it, and who am I to get in the way of that at this point?
Oh, exactly. As you said, it would be like starting over, but also you've already established that connection with your audience, with your fans, especially obviously for the videos, as you just mentioned as well. It's again, it's something people recognize and people know who it is. Without even having to look it up real quick there, Blacklite District, they know what they're going to get.
Right, for sure. And just to throw this in, like, again, going back to me as like the 15 or 16-year-old kid who was, literally listening to Ozzy and Metallica and all like my, like shit I loved growing up, like, just the fact that I can say I have the fan base I have right now, or the fans that connect with this music, it might not be what I thought in my head as a little kid, like, playing in front of 20,000 people every night and platinum records. So it's a little different, but it's still, man, like sometimes it still blows my mind that I'm in this spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just so grateful, because it really is all about the music for me, man, and the connection it has. And even if I just have a little bit of that, like, I am so grateful for it,
Oh, for sure. That's what music does. It's supposed to connect and unite people. And that's just so cool. You see it obviously through live shows the best when you see the crowd interacting with the musicians performing on stage.
Definitely. And again, we've been saying this word a lot today, but it goes back to that connection. There's just something special between a listener and the music, or whatever you want to call it. I tell my wife all the time, like, to some people, it's just a song. You hear a song and you're jamming, oh, I like it, or I don't like it, or it's on the radio, or it's in the background, cool. And then to some people like me, music literally means life and death to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so serious. I take it so serious. And, you know, again, it's just that special connection. And yeah, it's pretty awesome for sure, you know.
Oh, for sure. It definitely is. And as you said, kind of going back a little bit, you've had, Blacklite District has been around for, as you said, 20 years. Now, like, throughout those 20 years, like, when you first started, did you ever think, like, you'd be where you are today?
Well, it's kind of like a double-edged answer, because I always had a little bit of like the confidence and maybe cockiness, so to speak, of like, I know where I'm going to be one day. Like, and you know, it's tough to say that, because I'm sure there have been many people who have thought the same thing and said, I'm going to make it happen no matter what, and then maybe didn't make that happen. And, you know, again, like I just said a minute ago, maybe it's not the exact scenario I thought of, or you dream about when you're younger, and it's different, you know, but I think so. I mean, there was so many hurdles and things I've had to like get over and you know, work through and get past. So there's always those times of feeling like, man, I don't know what's going to happen. All this shit keeps happening. There's so many things that are made to kind of keep you down, and you have to scratch and claw every little bit just to get up that next step of the ladder, you know. But the fact that year after year, you know, we keep taking step by step up the ladder, gaining more of a fan base, engaging old listeners that maybe hadn't listened for a while. So short answer, I did. Yes, I definitely thought I would be here. I hoped, let's put it that way, I hoped that I had what it took to get here. And, you know, even saying here, you know, like we got here, I got here, whatever you want to call it, I do feel like I'm just getting started, and I still got a long way to climb up that ladder, but I'm happy and ready to put in the work to make it happen, you know, and that, to me, that says it all right there.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, you know, it is here as in like 2023 present right now. But yes, you have, you know, you're very much ahead of you, as you said, to continue climbing. But as we're just talking like right now, I know you're going to put in the hard work and the effort that goes along with continuing to grow and expand.
Definitely. You know, a radio programmer, let's just say one of the radio programmers on a Sirius XM channel that has played me a lot over the years, he one time told me that passion and persistence goes a long way. Because, you know, again, I would be a younger dude, like cold calling, kind of like emailing some of these like gatekeepers, you know, for a big radio station or a big whatever. Be like, hi, you know, I'm Kyle Pfeiffer. This is my music, Blacklite District. Here's the song. Check it out. And years of being told no, and oh yeah, get real, and you know, and then to finally like get some airplay, but to have that guy who's kind of a big gatekeeper in that genre say, man, your passion and persistence keeps you going. That was like one of those feel good moments, just knowing you're doing the right thing. Even when I feel like I'm annoying the shit out of some of these people or bothering these people, like, oh, like I feel that too. Believe me, I don't want to be emailing you guys 10 times. So just give me an answer, you know? But eventually, man, the persistence of people like finally saying, wow, this is the real deal. This guy's not going to let up. Even though we're annoyed and it's like annoying to get his emails, he's not going to let up. So maybe we should take a look, you know? And I think that, you know, again, man, just breaking down the walls and breaking through the barriers. I just think it's so important that we get this one life to go through, and it'll be over for all of us someday. I just want to go through knowing that I tried my damnedest and hardest and got to at least live a little bit of what I really wanted in life. You know what I'm saying? So there's people who live, and then there's people who really live, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, I definitely understand what you're saying with all that. Like, as you said, we only get one life. We get one chance to go through this life, and you have to give it your best effort with whatever you want to do. No, not just music related, just anything that you're passionate about in life. You should give it your all to reach your goals and dreams and happiness.
100%, whether it's music, whether it's this podcast right here, whether it's a radio show, a video thing on YouTube, all of it, man, because at the end of the day, you and I can be sitting here having a conversation like this, but when you really go outside and look in, we're almost creating art here. of thinking of the fans that'll come watch us to find any little detail they're looking for. I mean, to me, it's incredible, man. You know, we really are in charge of our own destiny, especially in today's generation with the technology. And, you know, it really is an incredible time to be pursuing any type of like entertainment career, because it is the Wild West and the possibilities are endless. You could be the next Joe Rogan, or who, I'm just throwing out a name, you know what I'm saying? But you just never know these days, bro. Or a year from now, I could have the #1 song on the planet. You just never know where it's going to end up, you know?
Oh, exactly. And I know, like, you know, a year doesn't sound that far away. You know, it's only, 365 days, but so much can happen from month to month, from year to year. You just never know, and you won't know unless you give it a shot.
Definitely, dude. 100%. There again, that goes with like the persistence thing, and keeping going, and not, you know, shutting down in times of adversity, kind of like, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's it's just great, man. It's so great, you know. I mean, again, you think about like back in the day, music industry specifically, but you know, back in the day, you had to have the label because that was the only way you're going to get on the radio, which was the only way people kind of discovered new music. There wasn't an internet to go on. And so I love the fact that us as creators, again, whether it's my world or your world or the next movie actor's world, like we really are in control of our own destiny and can, you know, I love it. I love it. I'm grateful to be in this era right now, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I am too, because again, going along with everything that you said, that there's a lot more power for creators now to go out on your own. You don't have to be, with somebody. For like podcasting and radio, you had to be with a radio station. That's not true anymore. For music, you had to be with a record label. That's not true anymore. Yeah. So there's so much more possibilities and avenues for anyone who wants to pursue like anything in music or art or acting or really anything. You have a lot more power to follow your dreams and make them your own.
Absolutely. And so last night, kind of off topic, but it ties into this. So I watch WrestleMania every year. I have for a long time. I'm not as into the product as I used to be when I was a kid, watching during the Attitude Era in the late 90s, early 2000s, Stone Cold Steve Austin, all that. But I still like to watch these big events. And the guy last night, for anyone not familiar with that world, there's a guy named Roman Reigns who's kind of like on top. He's the champ. He's almost at 1,000 days, blah, blah, blah. But he had a press conference last night after his match, and he said something along the lines of, because this was the third consecutive WrestleMania that he's defending the same title, has not left him in 3 years, which is almost unheard of in today's society, but he said, man, we're not doing this for TikTok and for YouTube shorts. We're expanding the attention span of you people, because if you want the good stuff, it's going to be a long-term, long play. You know what I'm saying? And I guess comparing that into kind of what I do, I've been doing music for 20 years since I was a real young kid, really 10 years professionally now. So the fact that a decade has flown by, it feels like a lot of people say, wow, this is an overnight thing. I just discovered this guy. The music's awesome. But they don't see the 15 years that came in before where I didn't make a penny of money, sleeping in the van in Walmart parking lots. But again, it's that long-term play, those small weekly goals, even something that seems, oh, that's no big deal. Like I want to make 10 new subscribers on my YouTube channel by the end of the week. That sounds realistic, right? We can get 10 people to subscribe, but it's those small weekly goals that is going to lead to those yearly or whatever big milestones that happen down the road. It helps you be prepared for them too,
Oh, I 100% agree. I like the wrestling analogy. I watched WrestleMania both nights as well over the weekend. But I definitely agree. Like, people don't see the work over they see like the culmination of it, with like a WrestleMania or a huge event or a music release or anything like that. That's what they see, but they don't see the years of planning from just going out on the weekend to play shows to now going on a whole tour or something like that. People don't see those connections. We do as creators. We see where we started and the work we put in to get to those big events.
Right. Absolutely, man. And so cool to know that you watched. So obviously we had Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And Man, like when Cody Rhodes did his entrance, and then, I don't know if you saw, he came up and like, he held his child and kissed his family and stuff. And the announcers at the time said, this is a moment generations in the making for the Rhodes family, main eventing WrestleMania. Man, things like that get me so much. I almost had tears in my eyes just because of nothing was happening. The match hadn't started. It was his entrance, but just those words of how this was a moment generations in the making, seeing the family there, hearing the music. I mean, man, that stuff gets me, bro. That's powerful moments right there.
Oh, exactly. No, I had the same emotions as well during just him holding his child, like just seeing that image. You see that, and I thought that was a very powerful moment. And nothing, like the match didn't even start. Nothing in ring happened. It was just the moment for his entrance.
Yeah, man, so powerful. And one more thing to wrap up the kind of WWE analogy here.
Sure.
I was always a big Undertaker guy. So I would watch The Streak every year, from like 13, 14, 15 and 0 every year. So I do miss the mystique of having The Streak and The Undertaker. And, for me, what I consider like my old school legendary guys. Last year, we had Stone Cold in his first match in 19 years. That was cool. So I do miss some of that vibe, but I'm glad that, they were able to turn Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. It was a big fight feel. It felt like a big match. So I'm just glad that today's superstars are able to give us that vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no! Oh, definitely. As you said, they did rely like a lot on that, Attitude Era star power for many years. But now you got Cody Rhodes, you got Roman Reigns, and I would say like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, the Usos as well. All those people, I think, are, if they're not at the like top tier big fight feel yet for like some of those the latter ones I mentioned, I say they're damn close.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I saw, I think it was Cody Rhodes actually in an interview. I guess, he over the last few months they've done some house shows with like the Usos, and I guess Cody Rhodes was saying that he didn't realize that in some of those markets, the Usos do have that star power, or he's starting to really see that star power come out because of the whole bloodline thing and everything they've been doing. And that's great to see, man.
It definitely is. And, usually I would say like probably previous years, like some of those big factions, it didn't seem like it really helped the people involved, like, like, I don't know if you remember the authority angle that was like 10 years ago or something. It didn't really help anyone. You know what I mean? But like with the bloodline, it has elevated anyone who is in there and anyone associated, like with like Kevin Owens in that case. It has really elevated everyone who has been associated or in the bloodline.
Definitely. And again, that's like you said, that's something you don't see every time, and it doesn't happen every time. Even when they try to put these big the Shield kind of worked out, obviously. But man, even like Roman Reigns, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was kind of one of the guys booing him. That they're just trying to shove him down your throat. And I was like, oh, man, and I'm just not into it. But man, they've really, his whole tribal chief thing going bad. I mean, I think he's incredible right now, man. I've turned into such a big fan of him.
No, the same thing happened to me. I was, very, very much against Roman Reigns because it looks so, just so, I don't know,
same old shit kind of vibe.
Yeah. For lack of a better term, I couldn't think of anything better. But yes, it had that feel to it. But now, like watching him at WrestleMania, the way he carries himself, the way he talks, his movements in the ring, like he is the top guy. Like like I really saw that at this year's WrestleMania, and now I'm a fan. Like after that Cody Roman match, which the outcome, I saw a lot of people arguing about it, but honestly, match wise, I thought it was a phenomenal match.
Definitely. Oh man, all those kind of false finishes. I mean, the crowd was on fire the whole time. And man, I really thought, if there's going to be an event where Roman is done, this is going to be it, on a big night like this. So I'm surprised, I didn't know going in. I thought, man, I can see them keeping Roman going, but this whole Cody story, but again, I feel like that's what keeps you on the edge of your seat because you don't know, and it could go either way, and it means something big for either way, like I always considered, this is a little bit older now, but for Shawn Michaels' last match with The Undertaker, it was streak versus career. So it was like no matter what happened, something was ending. And that keeps you on the edge of your seat, no matter the way it ends. You know what I mean? So good shit, man. And shout out to all those guys for a hell of a show over the weekend. That's for sure.
Oh,
And
definitely. It was both nights. I thought, after the first night, I was like, all right, that was a great start to it. But I was like, I think they got to step it up one more notch to make this a WrestleMania weekend, and they definitely did.
dude, I thought the same thing. It was like, okay, night one was like the opening night, getting everyone wound up. But yeah, and it was great, man. And I'm glad even on here doing like a music talk, we're doing a general talk, but I just love that I get to come on and talk about this kind of stuff with cool guys like you. So appreciate you, bro.
Of course. Now, I could talk about wrestling like all day, as I'm doing 2 nights before this and last night. So, but we do got to move on, because I know we got more to discuss. Blacklite District related, obviously, with the new singles Cold as Ice XL and Struggle XL. So both those released this year. They are re-recorded versions of previous songs that you've put a different spin on. You've changed it up. So why do you think it was a good time to kind of work on those specific songs to release them this year?
That's a great question. So 2023 is technically kind of my 10-year anniversary as like a professional musician. Basically, it's 10 years since I had my first charted single on the Billboard charts, which was a song called With Me Now back in 2013, peaked in 2014. So a lot of things kind of happened. I'll give you the short version. So obviously in 2020, we had the pandemic, which stopped all my touring and such. In the very first few days of 2021, I went to rehab for an opiate addiction I was in the middle of at the time, which had kind of spiraled. I mean, just out of control, fentanyl and all this kind of crazy shit going on. And then a few months after that, middle of 2021, I broke my hip in a rollerblading accident. So that took me off the shelf for another 6-8 months. It was just one thing after another. But after breaking my hip about 6 months later, I literally drove 2,500 miles to Nashville to record an album called 1990, which I put out at the very beginning of 2021. And it was kind of a return to my hard rock roots. The couple years prior, I had been experimenting more with like hip hop and pop sounds and, doing a lot of different things. But, hard rock has always kind of been my, the love and passion that started me into all this. And songs like Cold as Ice and The Struggle are 5, 6, 7 years old. And I consider them kind of some of my first songs that really took me to the next level, at least in terms of like YouTube and Spotify and the online world. So long story short, recording 1990 with my producer, Brett Hessler, was the first time he and I had worked together in 10 years since that first single I mentioned a few minutes ago. And it just felt so cool to get back together, do a new album. The sound was incredible. And I loved these songs like Cold as Ice and The Struggle, like I said, are some of my biggest songs. But I always felt like they were lacking something in terms of production. All the drums are programmed. All the instruments are like virtual instruments. But doing this 1990 album with a real producer and with real musicians, my band members, to me, I just felt like we could add so much more soul and a higher production value into these older songs. And I feel like if there was any time to make it happen, it should be now, kind of in between major album releases on this 10-year thing with the tours coming up. So to me, it was all about the soul and the feel, and at the end of the day, giving the songs what I feel they deserve. And I really feel like we accomplished that with these XL versions.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the XL versions of both of those singles. So for anyone who has listened to the original music but has not listened to the new XL versions, what can they expect?
Well, I guess, aside from kind of the soul I keep talking about, I guess I look at it like it's always weird because, so going back to the original versions, like we were just talking about, Cold as Ice is 2017. I think the original Struggle was in 2016. But, if we were 20, 30 years ago in the music industry, someone would have got a record deal, maybe made a few demo albums kind of regionally, did their thing, maybe even failed a couple times over a few years until it was like, okay, it's time, we're doing the big album, like this is the real deal. I feel like that's kind of what I did with these original songs, but there was no label there saying I was just a kid making music, uploading it to the internet, basically. So I never got a chance to say, oh, is this good? Or what should I have done different here? So it's almost like people just got to watch my evolution and growth as an artist. But then I have to live with those kind of songs, and sometimes I'd cringe at the sounds, and maybe not obviously as much as other people just hear them as songs. As the artist, I hear it different. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's times I wanted to delete those albums, wish I could start over, kind of like we talked about earlier, wish I could have my first album again. So I guess this was the best way to keep the original songs out, which in my opinion are almost demos, but ended up with hundreds of millions of streams. And now you get to kind of hear what it would sound like had I waited, had I gone in the studio with the producer. And it also gives these songs a chance to be re-released as brand new, with me being at a much higher level than I was 5-6 years ago. So hopefully some people will discover these XL versions that maybe had never heard the original song and just keep the story going. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, maybe you would have been on the radio for 20, 30 years, like we hear AC/DC or Metallica on rock radio still. And that's what made these songs so legendary over all these years. But since it's not really like that with younger artists in radio, I feel like this is kind of a similar way of getting a song reintroduced and a new spin on it years later. And who's to say we won't do it again another decade from now, you know? But again, it's the Wild West. You just never know where it goes, you know? But that's what's exciting about it.
Oh, exactly. And one more point I did want to make, and then when we talk about the upcoming tour, but also like with re-releasing, new versions of the songs, you get to kind of widen your fan base a little bit. You get new people who may not have heard about you, back when the original was released, may discover you now in 2023.
Exactly. And to me, that's the biggest win of all this. And I'll give you a quick example. So Cold as Ice XL, we put out the video like a month or two ago, cool looking blue concept video. We took the chorus clip, about a 30-second clip of the chorus, and we started a campaign on TikTok, just to do some promotion, get the song out there. And what we're really discovering right now, shout out to my social media team, by the way, and my management team up at Home Slice for handling all this, but we've really found that some of these kids that were maybe 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, 5, 6 years ago when the Minecraft videos first came out, that were really into that and then maybe moved on and are now, teenagers on TikTok, and then scroll through and all of a sudden see like now the real music video of that same song they heard. All we see are comments of, oh shit, you're the one who made that song I used to listen to, or wow, I remember seeing this on the Minecraft video, or oh my God, the nostalgia. So it's almost like we hit this kind of niche market that was really into those Minecraft videos that kind of grew up a little bit and are now rediscovering the song as from a band perspective. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got the animation when you were younger, what kind of made you remember the song. You grow up onto TikTok and now all of a sudden you remember that song and oh shit, this is like a real band. You know what I'm saying? So it's just so cool to see people that maybe forgot or just, moved on out of the Minecraft thing, get to come back and rediscover it, like how you and I probably discovered our favorite artists differently, but you know what I'm saying? Kind of like, I think that's incredible, man.
Oh no, it truly is incredible. And it's just so cool that, again, the connection, as we've been saying throughout this whole interview. So they saw the Minecraft videos, heard the song, and now, 5, 6, 7 years later, now they're scrolling through TikTok and they see you again, but with a little bit more band focused and music focused. But again, they remember that connection from years prior.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to what we just said a minute ago, too, about how artists used to be on the radio for decades and decades, and that's what made them legendary. To me, now, again, who knows? We don't have the answer, but this could be like a first step in, oh, wow, I remember that song from 5, 6 years ago, and now it just came back again. And if somehow we're able to make that happen many times throughout the next 20 years or something, maybe it's a viral moment, or, man, wouldn't that be incredible, though,
Oh, it definitely would. And as you said, we don't know the answer yet, but it could very well be yes.
Right. And who's to say that one day, 20 years from now, people don't look back to this exact moment when we just said we don't know what the answer is. And in 20 years, they're saying, well, they did know the answer back then, So who knows, bro? That's what I love about all this, because even us right here talking, there could be some moment we said in this interview that years from now gets brought back up or something, to me, that's just the cool shit of the place we're at today. And I'm excited for the future.
Oh, I am too. And, the cool thing about it with life is we don't have all these answers of, could this happen? Could this not happen? We don't know. And I think that's the exciting part of life is well, we can do our best to make it yes.
Absolutely, dude. So much. I mean, I wish everybody just thought that way but I get it too. When there was many times, when I'm 5-6 years into trying to make this happen and I'm still barely making $300 a month. And, you got parents and friends and family saying, oh, what do you like? Come on, get real. Like you need to get a job one day. And oh man, I just remember being told no so much, or people laughing at me when I'd say I want to be a famous musician or just a professional musician. But every time someone would say no or laugh, or kids on the school bus would like, oh, ha ha, yeah, man, I always took that as more fuel to just say one day I will prove each and every one of you wrong, all of them. And even at this point, man, I can say I've done that. And again, it's never about the revenge. It's about me following through and sticking to my word and saying, I told you so way long ago,
Exactly. Now I do got one more thing I do want to cover before we go off. I know a little bit extended time, but I really appreciate you chatting with me and sticking around with me. We're having a really great time, so I very much appreciate it.
For sure, man. Of course.
So the new upcoming XL tour starting on April 13th. So like for you, what can how do you prepare for a tour, especially like with this new one? Have you been changing things up, like with set list, gear, touring in general? Like, how do you prepare?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a great question, man. So kind of like I said, I haven't done a real tour in 3 years now, which is the longest gap since I started this about 10 years ago, for the reasons I mentioned: COVID, rehab, broken hips and shit like that. But, because it's been so long, we hadn't really had a touring rig, a touring vehicle, equipment. So about a year ago, last summer, we were supposed to do a tour, which got canceled at the last minute. But we had spent about 20 grand on just new gear, soundboards, in-ear rigs, which I just switched over to for the first time instead of using the stage monitors, which people have been telling me for years to do, but I'm finally did it. And I'm really happy. But yeah, this time, again, it just kind of feels like we're starting from the ground up. So I just bought a new tour van 2 weeks ago. Like I said, we got the new soundboard. We got a new sound guy for this tour. So all the boys should be flying up here to South Dakota actually a week from today. We'll spend a couple, 2-3 days here rehearsing in the Black Hills. And then the first show, like you said, is April 13th in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is about 5-6 hours from here. But yeah, we've been kind of texting back and forth. That's the thing too. None of my band members actually live here, so I don't actually see them unless we're, in the studio or doing a show or getting ready for a tour. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of texting back and forth about the set list. It's going to be the biggest set list, like in terms of just the most songs we've played. This is going to be the biggest headlining tour I've ever done. And that's a cool thing too, to be the headliner where, I'll have artists opening for me, traveling around doing 11, 12, 13 markets across the country in 2 weeks is pretty awesome. And we're looking at this really as like just the first leg of this XL tour. It's only about 2.5 weeks. I think it's 13 shows or something like that. But again, that's really just part one. As of right now, I expect this tour to continue well in through 2024 possibly, and we'll probably hit different regions of the country each time we go out. And just again, man, try to get it bigger and bigger. Got a couple festivals this summer, talking with a friend in a big band who I might go out and open with. So lots of shit going on, but man, I cannot wait to get back on stage, bro. That's what I live for,
Oh, definitely. It sounds like you got a lot of great stuff. Sounds like you're going to be very well prepared for this first leg of the XL tour. And it sounds like you got a lot of cool things. You're hitting quite a few venues and markets throughout those 2.5 weeks.
Definitely. And again, some of them I've played many times over the years. Some are new, like South Bend, for example. It's a smaller club called Cheers. I think it's been probably 7 years since I've played there. But I'm excited to come through and see what happens. And bro, if you want to come out, you let me and the publicist know, and we'll put you on the list. I'd love to see you out there. No pressure, of course, but you're invited if you'd like to come, man.
I very much appreciate the invite. I will double check my schedule, but I don't think I'm working that day. But I will. I'll confirm with the publicist probably later this week as well.
Dude, I'd love it, man. And again, bro, like I appreciate you. I've heard so many great things about your show here, and I'm glad we got to connect. And I hope we get to do it again sometime.
Oh, definitely had a really great time chatting with you. And it was very cool. Talked about a lot of different stuff. I wasn't planning on talking about wrestling, but I'm glad we did because I had so much that I wanted to talk about with WrestleMania. Like obviously I had my friends that I was watching with yesterday, but it's cool to hear someone else talking about it as well.
Dude, definitely. And like I said, man, that's why I love getting to come on here and just make it fun, man. And that's what makes these, conversations real, is because we are just having a conversation. We're being real. We're talking about things we both enjoy. That's what people want to see, and give it to them, And dude, again, great shit here, man. I'd love to do the show again sometime, and I can't thank you enough, bro.
Hey, but I really appreciate you coming on. I'm glad you had a great time. I had a great time. And just real quick, just to tell you, so like they just remodeled Cheers. Like it's going to look completely different, at least from what I've seen of it. I've only seen the photos. I have not gone there yet. But yeah, they really remodeled everything. It looks very nice.
I've heard about this, and I've also seen some of those photos. And yeah, man, it'll be cool to come back. It's a smaller club, but sometimes that's cool. It's an easier sellout. It's an intimate show, and it's a great venue. There's such a great venue for supporting touring artists. I see Cheers on so many tours, and it's just cool to have a great market in Indiana welcoming all sorts of entertainment through. And man, support your local shows. For sure.
Oh, definitely. Because it is. If you want live music in your area, you have to go out and support the venues who are supporting original live music. Because unfortunately, as with the pandemic, I've heard of quite a few that unfortunately had to close down.
So many, bro. Oh my God. So many venues had to shut down. Even these days, radio stations shut down. A lot of this shit is shutting down, and people don't seem to get that. The only way to stop that is by going out and supporting. That doesn't mean you have to go to every single show, but if there's someone coming through that you want to support, go spend $10 and go chill for an hour. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, it's just cool to have places like that around still,
Exactly. 100%. Support the live venues, any shows you want to go to, even if it's just once a month. If you go, I got, the day off, this day or whatever, it's a Saturday night. I want to, pay the $10 cover and I want to see some live music. Even if it's only once a month, it means a lot to the people running the venues and the venues themselves.
100%, man. 100%, bro. That's for sure.
But Kyle, I really appreciate you hanging out here on Super Cool Radio. I had a phenomenal time chatting with you. I'll leave some links for all things Blacklite District in the description of this podcast as well. Kyle, thank you so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio.
Matthew, appreciate you, bro. Let's do it again soon.
For sure, right on. But for Kyle Pfeiffer of Blacklite District, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.